Alright guys, so in episode 2 we are going to add the footstep sounds. So I already did that here, so I want to show this quickly. So if I walk around, you see you get a footstep sound now, which is pretty awesome. And just like I mentioned in episode 1, we will also add the jumping function, okay? As you can see, it just works fine. And no matter how many times I press the spacebar, we can only jump once, okay? So we will also take care of that so that we cannot like continuously jump forever up, but only once per specified time, or in this case per 1 second we can only jump once. Alright, so with that being said, as always, if you enjoy the series, make sure to like it, make sure to subscribe, because my current goal is to finally reach 1000 subscribers. So if you enjoy any of my content, make sure to subscribe because it helps a lot. And yeah, without further ado, let's get started. Hey guys, so in episode 2 we're going to add footstep sounds to our first person character, and we are also going to add the functionality so that we can jump. So if you haven't watched episode number 1, make sure to check out episode 1 in order to be able to follow along in this episode. And yeah, let's get started. So I already downloaded footstep sounds and I cut it in several pieces, okay, and I will put this in the comment section so you can download them. And then all you need to do is to grab all of them and just drag and drop them into the asset window down here. And I already created a folder called footstep sounds, so you can do that by right clicking here and click on create, and then folder, and then simply call it footstep sounds, and then just drag and drop the sounds inside this folder, okay? Once you have done this, we can then preview these sounds. By the way, if we click on them and click here and play, this will give us back the preview of the sound here. And so let's click here on the player, and the first thing I want to do is to add here first of an audio source, okay? And then we will create a new script, and we will call this footstep generator. Alright. And then here I will create a new list, actually a list like so. And here we will get the audio clip. Okay, well, we will accept an audio clip for that. And let's call just this footstep sounds and make this equal to a new list of audio clips like so. And then we also want to have a public audio source, and let's call this one sounds clip maybe, or audio source. And that's actually all we have to do for now, okay? If I head over to the Unity editor, you will see that we will have now here footstep sounds list. And actually that's not the case, so make sure to make this public. And now we should be able to see the footstep sounds list here. And currently it's empty, so we can add 5 elements here, and then we just drag and drop all these audio clips to the element list here like so, okay. And then we also need to drag and drop the audio source to that, okay. Okay, and then back to our player move script. First, let's get a reference to the generated footstep generator script. So here it says here as field, and then footstep generator, and let's just call that footstep or step sound. That makes sense. And then we can grab that from our character. So here you can say step sounds equals to actually let's call it step generator. Makes more sense to me. Let's call it step generator equals to get component, and then we grab the footstep generator that we have attached to our character. And then with that, we can pretty much start to customize this here. Let's create here a new function, and let's call this one play foot sound. And inside here, I would say start coroutine. And then let's just call it play step sound, and here we will add a timer to that. Footstep timer. And then down here we will create an enumerator called play step sound, and here we will accept a float of a timer. And then inside here we will grab the generator and we'll do a few things. So first, let's create a variable called random index, and let's make this equal to a random range of 0 to 5. And I will explain this here in just more and more in detail. Then the next thing we need to do is to grab the sound generator. How do I call it? Step generator. I guess sound generator makes even more sense. Let me rename this here one more time. Sound generator. Alright. So now we grab the sound generator, and we want to attach now a clip to the audio source. So I can say audio source clip equals to sound generator footstep sounds, and then we add the random index here. So random index. If I would say here 0, for example, so if I would just add here 0, this would then take just the first element of our list here, okay? But with the random index that we generate here between 0 and 5, we grab a random element here, okay? So with that, it's more randomized and I guess a little bit more realistic, right, when we walk around instead of just playing one static footstep sound. And now that we have attached that, we can now say sound generator audio source play. Okay, and then the audio source will be played. Now we also need to add a yield return new wait 4 seconds, and here we inject the timer, and then we will say is walking to false. And do we set somewhere walking to true? I don't think so. So let's add here also is walking to true. Okay. Now we still have an error because we haven't defined the footstep timer. So let's do this here as well. At the top, I will create down here where we say sound generators, cheerless feeds, floats, and then how do I call it? It's footstep timer. Footstep timer. Alright, so we got all of that down, and now we need to add the logic that we only want to play that when we walk, okay? Because right now, if I would add that here just to the move function, for example, and go back here to Unity, we should be able, I guess, to hear the sound. But it won't play continuously because there's no logic. So yeah, it plays now it continuously actually, but that's obviously not something we want, right? Sounds really buggy. So yeah, that's still not working, right? Because this will be fired all the time because that's inside our fix update function, and therefore we say, hey, play foot sound, and this plays all the time. Okay, so that's not something we want. We could limit that already by adding here to the footstep timer a timer. So I think with that it will be only fired every other second. Yeah, not really. It still sounds really buggy. So to fix this, we need to add a new logic, and what we will do is we will check if we are currently moving, and I will say player velocity x if it's smaller than 0, or if the player velocity is greater than 0, because remember in the first episode I showed you that the player velocity or the input goes up to -1 or +1 depending if we walk forward or backward, and therefore we have to check on both sides. If it's greater than 0 or smaller than 0, we want to do something, and we need to repeat that for all three directions. So let's just change this here to y, and let's repeat that for the z direction as well. So just copy this here one more time, paste it in. So z, the same here, z. And so if there is an input, right, we want to do something. And the next thing I want to check is if we are walking. So we'll say if is walking, actually if we are walking, that's okay. We want to say we want to play foot sound. If any of those values, or if the bool is false, we will not play the sound. Okay, and normally this should already work. So let's go back to the Unity editor and make sure to add here for the footstep timer just the value of 1 for now. We can change this later on. Alright, so if I press on W, there's actually an error going in. Not quite sure why we get this error here. Okay, I attached for some reason the ground to the player. Obviously, I already thought that something was a little bit off. It almost looked to me like the plane was rotating with our camera. Yeah. Okay. I don't hear anything, to be honest. I'm not sure about you guys. Let me quickly put on my headset. Yeah, I can hear anything. So something's not working. We say, hey, if the player velocity is greater or smaller, and if it's walking, I guess we have to say, do we have to say it's walking? I guess we have to make this a false statement. But that should fine work. So if I press on W or any input value, we should be able to hear the sound. So W, there we go. And notice how the is walking bool is always switching on and off. Okay, and so let's I think 0.5 is a good value. I mean, yeah. Maybe 0.6. And we can also increase here a little bit the pitch of our audio source. Maybe 0.4. Yeah, that sounds more accurate to me. Again, since we don't have any animation or whatsoever, we just have to do it from like what we think is accurate, what makes sense. Okay, so if you think that sounds still unrealistic, you can be free to play around with these settings. I will stick with 0.4 because I think that sounds really good, and we set the pitch to somewhere around 0.5. Okay. Alright, so I would say we are pretty much finished with the footstep sounds. So let's save the project here, and then let's take care of the ability to jump. Okay, Down here, let's create another function called jump, and then we will check if we are jumping. If we are jumping, just return, do nothing. And of course we have to create the boolean for that, so let's copy this here. Let's just call this, or rename that to is jumping. And by default we are not jumping, so is set to false is okay. And then if we are actually not jumping, we want to do something. In this case we want to add a force to the velocity. Okay, so here I would say new vector 3, and then we want to add a power or a force to the y direction, right? And so let's add here a jump force, and then that's basically it. Okay, and then we want to say is jumping set to true, but we will do this in our current scene as well, I guess. For now we could just skip that for a moment. Let's add here the jump force, like so, and then make sure to add the jump function to the fixed update. With that we should be already able to jump. This will look now a little bit weird since we have not limited the jump motion. And by the way, I forgot, I think to add also the input. Yeah, it's just adding now the force. So of course we have to add here also an if statement and say, hey, if we have an input, so if we have get key down key code space, so if we're pressing that, I want to do this here. Okay. And now we should be able only to apply the force when we press space one time. So let's move here the game window to the right side. I press now space, and there we go. We already jump, okay? And you could also add a jumping sound. I will just, I guess, leave that now for... I will skip that now, I guess, since I don't think it's that important. So the problem that we now have is the only thing that's left is I can now continuously jump. Okay, you can press space and space, and we're just floating up and up and up and up. And that's obviously not the behavior we are looking for. So we need to limit that. And I guess we will also use here an enumerator, and here I would just call it jump task, and then I would just move this, or actually just copy that, paste it here in. Then we also need to add a yield return new wait for seconds, and here I will add a timer again, and then I would say is jumping set to false again. And here we say is jumping set to true. Okay, and here we then say start coroutine and call jump task, and here we will add jump timer. And then we need to add here the float timer. And let's add also here at the top quickly jump timer. Okay. And with that, we should be able to limit that. So if I hit now play, currently our jump timer is set to 5, so we need to change that to maybe 1. And so now when I press space and try to press space immediately again, you see we cannot jump anymore continuously, right? It just doesn't work anymore. Can only jump once. Okay, no matter how many times I press the space bar, it only works one time. And I think the value of 1 is actually totally fine. We could minimize that to maybe 0.3, and with that we can still do the double jumps. But if I say 5, you see it would take a long time until we are able to jump again. Okay, obviously that's not where we want. I think 1 was totally fine. Okay, yeah, I think I will wrap up this episode here, because we have pretty much achieved all what we wanted to do today. We can now walk around. We have footstep sounds and random footstep sounds, to be more accurate about that, because you can see it works just fine. We hear these footsteps whenever we have a value or whenever we are moving, and we can also now jump. Okay, so if I press space, we can jump, and we can only do it one time per second. Okay. All right, so we are definitely getting there, right? There's now, I think we are pretty much finished with the first-person character controller. We have basically added all the important functions, I would say. I guess the only function that is missing currently is the ability to also run. So maybe I will add this in the next episode, but I guess we will also add in the next episode, or start to add the shooting abilities, okay? Because like I said, this will be a first-person shooter game project, and currently we can shoot, right? We can walk around, we can look around, we can jump, but if I press the mouse button, we cannot really shoot or anything, right? So that would be, I guess, the next step, and this will be something for episode 3, like I said, and maybe also the ability to sprint. And yeah, as always, guys, if you have learned something, if you enjoy the series, make sure to subscribe and like, because it helps a lot. My personal goal is to finally reach 1,000 subscribers, so there's still a few subscribers left. So if you enjoy any of my content, make sure to subscribe, because it helps a lot. And yeah, as always, thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye.